You can see our speaker Josh is ready to rock and roll. So without further ado, let me pass the virtual stage to our lovely speaker, Josh. Josh, take it away.
Daniel, thank you so much. Audience, thank you for being here. And just let me apologize. I really wanted to make the Elon Musk entrance, but my agent just couldn't put it together. So I'm excited to be here with you. My name is Josh McNamara. I have been working with the Salesforce platform for 22 years when it originally launched with Sales Cloud back in 1999. I am the senior Salesforce strategist at Provar, which is a codeless Salesforce test automation tool. Today, we are going to cover becoming defect-free. Be sure to tag Provar testing on social media for your opportunity to win our free deluxe swag gift set from Provar. And feel free to add me on social media at Provar Mac on Twitter and Josh McNamara on LinkedIn. So what does defect-free mean? To some, it's a fantasy they hope to one day achieve. To others, it's a consistently prudent way of life. Salesforce delivery teams are faced with the growing demands of writing and testing their solutions, but many still struggle to find the time and resources to deliver defect-free quality software. I'm sure you've all heard the statement, I'm a good developer, so I don't have to test my code. Well, unfortunately, that's the same logic as not wearing your seatbelt because you're a good driver. Accidents can happen to anybody. It's best to identify and correct a problem before everyone else finds out about it. But what exactly are the odds of there being a problem? Let's find out. The average Salesforce delivery program has about 500 test scripts, and the average test script takes about 25 minutes to complete. For 100% test coverage on 500 scripts, you will need 6,250 labor hours and a large staffing model to achieve this. Working 40-hour schedules, it would take 157 resources executing the scope to complete the activity. Suffice it to say, with over 500 scripts and over 6,000 labor hours, there is a tremendous amount of opportunity to miss something or make mistakes. By reducing the headcount, you reduce the risk. Many people have said that testing cycles are a bottleneck. I challenge, what if it's your testing strategy that's creating the bottleneck? After all, we're designing, developing, and delivering more intuitive ways of operating business processes. So why not yield a similar approach in how we're delivering them? Automation testing is to software delivery lifecycle what DevOps was to change sets. It's a highly more efficient way of delivering solutions. So how do you become defect-free? By repeating these 5 simple steps. Step 1, take an honest and collaborative look into your delivery processes and the tools that you are using today. Number 2, hold retro sessions with your teams after every delivery. If you identify a choke point in your delivery, no matter what your role is, you have a voice, write it down and bring it up in your retro sessions. Number 3, and this is the most important one to me, conduct peer reviews before you push your solutions to the next stage. Confirm that you have all of your pre and post deployment steps properly captured and shared with the teams. I cannot stress the value of peer reviews enough. They are invaluable and help you to prevent the rework spiral that often happens. Number 4, make sure you have comprehensive test coverage. Defects are caused by human error. Reduce the opportunity for those errors by reducing the human involvement wherever possible in your processes. Next, follow the path to production. Lastly, repetition, repetition, repetition. If you follow these 5 simple rules for every single delivery, you will eventually become defect-free. So how can you achieve comprehensive test coverage with over 500 scripts and 6,000 hours of human involvement? I'm sure some of you are thinking probably with holy water and 1 test script. While I'm sure that would help, consider using testing automation tools in your delivery framework. They can literally do the work of 50 men. With many options available in the market, focus on the providers who are focused on the platform that you are building upon, that don't require you to build out the solution you need for them. Provar is a great example. For nearly 10 years, Provar has been 100% focused on testing the Salesforce platform. Despite all of the rapid releases, updates, and changes that Salesforce has made and continues to make to its platform, Provar stays ahead of the race by being a member of their monorail program. The monorail program, for those who may not be familiar, is a Salesforce early release program where they provide their partners with access to all upcoming changes and features a couple of months ahead of the generally available release. We at Provar thoroughly test all new Salesforce changes, including the Shadow DOM, HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Our team updates our solution to accommodate those changes and provide those changes with the latest release to our customers about a month to 2 months before Salesforce releases their package. I'm not here to sell you. I'm here to tell you. This is a tool that I wish I had had on some of my previous delivery engagements, because if I had, we could have created a tremendous amount of time profit for not only ourselves, but also the client. Provar frees up your time to help you stay focused on what you love, and that's coding. They take care of the maintenance for you, and this is what we mean by unbreakable, and this is our first pillar. There are 4 pillars of Provar: unbreakable, polymorphic, intuitive, and end-to-end. Polymorphic allows you to create callable test scripts for those repeatable tests in your scope. So all those test lead records or account records that you have to create over and over and over again, not anymore. One click and you're off. Intuitive enough that users with no technical background can easily learn and adopt the tool to begin executing scripts almost immediately. So functional business analyst, anybody with a non-technical background, and I'm going to show you the tool in just a second, you'll be able to see that anyone can easily pick this up. It has a very, very short learning curve. End-to-end means that you can not only test Salesforce, but you can also test all of your external systems and microservices that are connected to your environment. So for example, SAP, AWS, Oracle, your CI/CD pipeline, and plenty more. We're going to come back to that in a moment when I show you in the demo. Provar was founded by some of the world-leading experts in Salesforce and testing automation. It was a tool that was built by the people and for the people of Salesforce delivery. With teams located in the US, UK, and India, we can help support your organization day or night. We provide easy-to-use certification learning paths in the University of Provar and provide proof of value demonstrations designed specifically for your use cases and a robust community of fellow testing automation professionals on Discourse, where we go in and share tips, tricks, and also introduce them to beta testing programs. Our Salesforce continuous testing experts are here to help you every step of the way. So now I'm going to walk you through a test script in Provar. And in this example, we're going to create 25 test lead records using the API, as well as using our UI test builder to create a test script to launch the execution of creating an opportunity test record. So bear with me for just 1 second here. It wouldn't be a demonstration without a little bit of lag. Okay. So what you're looking at is the Provar tool that I was just describing to you. And in here, we are already connected to the environment. Every time you log into Salesforce, Provar immediately sends out the locators through the API to your Salesforce environment. This environment can be a simple dev org, a scratch org, any non-production environment that you have, be it inside or outside of Salesforce, in addition to production. So what I'm going to do here, there we go. Now, I have already built out the test case for us. So now all I have to do is click run. But before I do that, I want to show you a couple of things. So one, you can test through multiple browser experiences. You can go headless or not headless with Chrome. As you can see, we also have Safari, Edge, Firefox, and Internet Explorer. I hope nobody still uses that, but if you do, we can test it. That's fine. We can also do mobile testing, and excuse me, we can do data-driven testing. So if you see over here on the right in my testing canvas, if you're on a deployment or working with a delivery team that's very high in demand and you don't want to go through the UI of building out your script, that's okay. Most teams generally write their test scripts in an Excel workbook, put it in there, and upload it directly here into Provar. You'll save it and click run. We're going to do that now. Keep an eye over here on the left, lower left corner. So far, so good. Green is the color that we want to see. Now, as we're waiting on this to run, let's look at the timestamp. We started at 10:53 and 38. And so far, we're at 10:54 and change. And we have nearly 50 test lead records, exactly 50 test lead records created. Now, think about how much time that just saved you watching it, as opposed to having to do it manually yourself. Now look, no hands, right? Check out the screen, guys. Provar is doing all of this for me. I've taught it exactly what it needs to do one time. It takes over and executes the scripts and steps for us. Now, let's take a look at our results. Check this out. I even have a screenshot to show my receipts when I go back to my Scrum or my stand-up to report back to the broader teams on the success or the failure. If that's not enough, you can click this icon and quickly provide your broader teams with tangible evidence. Oops. We had one fail. And since this is running debug, excuse me, we also see the reasons why that failure would occur. However, when you look out here, all of our test records have been successfully completed. So you're getting a true perspective right here in PDF, allowing you to run your test in less than 3 minutes on something that would take, based on the average, several hours to complete. And we also have screenshots to go with it. All right, that's the end of the presentation. I'll open the floor to questions.
All right. Thank you so much, Josh, for that insightful presentation on how wonderful Provar is and how it can help us be defect-free without using our hands. Really love that. All right. So for everyone else watching this session, do type in your questions in the Q&A box or in the chat box, whichever one you want, but ideally Q&A box. But if you so happen to type it in the chat box, no worries, I will catch it and I'll read it to our speaker, Josh. And remember, if there are any questions that we don't get to answer tonight, we'll just take it off session on our Discord. So since there are no questions right now, we will give this chance for people to just a few seconds to just type in. Maybe they're in the middle of typing the question right now. So let's just give them a few seconds. But if not, then if there are no questions, maybe we can give them extra time by maybe suggesting, Manish, I hear that we don't have a quiz for our presentation with Josh, but is it true that we'll be having, a general quiz that's meant to end of the day one? Is that right?
Yeah, we will having some general quiz, but yeah, that is more related to the automation only. So I believe people are excited to see what are the final questions for them, and which will also give us a final winner of the day.
I see, understood. So for everyone here watching, there is no quiz for Josh's session, but there will be a quiz later on, generally on Codeless at the end of day one, which is coming up very soon. In fact, I now start seeing some questions being rolled in. So love that. So everyone else, do type in your questions, since this will be your final chance to ask any questions that you might have regarding Provar or regarding Josh. So do take this final chance. All right, so let's go over the first question. Can we get Provar license for free?
Yes, so you can get a free trial of Provar, and we can help you get set up with that. If you're asking if you can get it truly for free, sure, just give us a little bit of money. We'll tell you how much and we'll give you the license.
Very well said. Oh, we have an interesting one right here. Can I see more of the demo? Curious about API testing. Let me just check the schedule. We do have a little bit of time, but not sure if it's enough time to show more. Yeah, I think we have enough time. How about what do you say, Josh? Do you think you have you can do a little bit of showing of the API testing aspect for maybe 5 to 10 minutes max?
Absolutely, I'm all for it, guys.
All right, you got it.
All right, let's do that. So yeah. You guys see Provar on my screen again?
Yep.
Oops. All right, awesome. Okay, so bear with me for just a moment here. Tell you what, while I'm getting this pulled up, let's take some more questions.
All right, you got it, Josh. I'll be happy to help you with that. So the next question that we can try answering is, let me look for a relatively easy one. Are there any tutorials available online?
There are. So if you go to provartesting.com, look into University of Provar. That is a free learning library that we have available to everyone. So that'll give you an opportunity to get that free trial without actually getting the free trial.
Wow, amazing. There is actually an online library. So that means, guys, if you are just thinking that you wanted to get online tutorials from YouTube or Vimeo, never mind that. There is an online library made available to you. So that is fantastic. How about Josh? Would you like to answer one more question before we jump into the demo?
Yep, let's do that.
All right, so we have a question here which asks, can you share a bit more about your past experience in software delivery? And the follow-up question is, why is Salesforce test automation more critical than ever?
Sure. So I actually stumbled into Salesforce by sheer happenstance in '99. I was running a company with my business partner. We were doing drive-up ATM deployments. And we were using a tool called Goldmine, which was the CRM of its time, basically a digital Rolodex. Not very scalable at all. So there was a tech expo here in Atlanta, And I went down there with a large legal pad of all of my requirements and enhancements and problems that I needed to address, because I needed Goldmine to scale with our company. And I inadvertently ran into Parker Harris, Dave, and Mark Benioff. And some of you will appreciate this. So Benioff was actually in a gorilla costume on a tricycle driving around the expo center, trying to get everybody's attention to come over to the Salesforce booth. It worked. I went over, talked to them, learned more about their product, and I was on the hook. So for the next year, between 99 and 2000, I invested every ounce of spare time I could create, steal, or borrow to learn more about Salesforce. And, you know, they didn't have force.com. There was no such thing as an admin, because in IT back then, the maintenance and packages were built that, you know, software companies would say, you know, we'll charge you $800 an hour at a 2-hour minimum. And that was something that they kept locked on pretty tight. So anyway, a year later from that point, I left my company, sold a portion of my shares off, and then went and started my own consulting firm and ran that for about 15 years before I joined Accenture. I was with Accenture for right at 7 years, and recently joined Provar. So throughout that entire experience, I have been on the business development side, working on responding to RFQs, to being the tester, to being the developer, to being the portfolio delivery manager, or being the consultant, working in the design sessions, doing the whiteboarding, building out the schemas, and designing the objects and record types. I've literally done it all. I've worn all the hats. It's been a very rewarding and exciting career.
All right.
And by the way, Daniel and audience, you guys will have to bear with me. I'm running into a challenge here on Provar. I've got some API templates here, trying to get them fired up. So let's keep taking questions, and we'll come back to the tool.
You got it. No worries, Josh. All right. So the next question here is, oh, can you dive more into recipes for success? I really like that slide, as our attendee has said.
Well, thank you. So give you a quick story. So when I was at Accenture, leadership came to me and said, we have a delivery with a very prominent client that delivery has turned into a dumpster fire. Problem is that we've been on the ground for a few months, and since we've been delivering, we have accumulated over 2,000 defects in the client's backlog. The client's furious. We need you to go in and find out who the problem is. So I took the challenge. I went in. I interviewed. First thing, I looked at the backlog, tried to identify commonalities and what the problems were. Problems were all over the place. There was no linkage. So I went and met with the delivery team, interviewed them, looked at the processes and the tools that they were using, went over to the client, did the same thing. And then, of course, I had the prioritization conversation with the client to understand in what order does this backlog need to be sorted and delivered. As I'm sure you can all imagine, they all came back and said, oh, everything's number one priority. Never heard that before. So what I found was they weren't following the path to production. What they were following was the appetite to make stakeholders happy. And while I share that same appetite, it's just not a pragmatic and sustainable way of delivery. So what was happening is that the support team and other individuals on delivery were going out and executing quick hits directly in production. Now, while that might satisfy the immediate need, there are repercussions and consequences for that. And what would happen is when you have the major delivery team working in parallel in the lower environments, and then when they go to push the scope package up to production, it's overriding those quick hits. And they were not refreshing the environments after quick hits were done. And this was before they were, DevOps had really found its place in our space. So there wasn't a very efficient way of doing that. So we had to go in and refactor and then provide recommendations on how their entire delivery process needed to go to be streamlined. And as a result of that recommendation, we actually were able to get a DevOps model implemented, and those 2,000 defects were addressed and put away very quickly.
Okay, nice. And all right, so that was, can you dive more into recipes for success? So thank you so much for that short story. And this last question is related to Provar, which I don't know you have ready to rev up right now, but it's asked, how does the Provar report look like? So
sure, let me pull that report up for you.
All right.
And I'm sorry, we're not going to be able to do the API testing. I'm having a challenge here with this, and it says that the remedy to the challenge is to update the Provar tool to the latest version. I'm guilty for not doing that, so forgive me. But I'm certainly not going to take the chance of updating it here in the call. So let's take a look at the report. The report by default comes out in PDF format. In my test, I made the election to include screenshots from the process. So, you know, and I prefer to do that for my delivery, because when I go back to leadership, I like to provide more so they ask less. I like to keep my meetings with leadership short. So with that said, here is the overview of the report. As you see, we have the timestamps. So we executed a Sales Cloud testing cycle in less than 2 minutes. That's unheard of, guys. And you didn't see me write one line of code. I did everything from the native interface. It was all click. So you start off with the high level overview, the executive summary, and then you get down into the details, the minutia of it all with your test case summary. And here we're seeing what our failures are, right? So in our failures, here's all of the reasons why. And of course, you can manipulate how much and exactly what gets put into these reports. Next, we go into the leads portion. So again, we've got a less than a 90-second run, and we've created 50 lead test records. So here we see what was created, the return of that creation, the object ID, and the result name, along with the timestamps. Now, these are clickable links. So this would actually take me out to the lead test record in Salesforce. So essentially, when you're sitting in on those conversations, and I've sat on both sides of the table, providing this information back to leadership, and then later being the leadership that's requesting this information, it becomes a very brief conversation. Everything I need, everything I'm asking for is right here in this report. And in addition to that, I've got the screenshot validated, which is fantastic.
Very
that's
nice.
The end of the report. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Josh. Before we continue, I just want to quickly commend Josh for pulling the right call, making the wise decision of not updating Provar on the call itself, because I'm sure that would have been a very risky move. So thank you so much for pulling out that wise move. And not to worry, for those of you who want to see that API testing that was not able to be seen today, no problem. As you can see in the chat box posted by lovely Tristan Lombard, they've posted links to Provar testing. So if you want, be sure to connect with Provar so that you'll be able to ask them more questions, and additionally maybe ask them to show you what the API testing could look like. All right, so the links are in the chat box for all of you to use, and be sure to take this opportunity to connect with not just Josh, but Provar testing as well. So Josh, any last words from you before we conclude your session?
Yes, even if you are the greatest developer in the world, please test your code, but do it efficiently, because the last thing you want to do as being one of the greatest developers in the world is to have to walk away from $1 to worry about the dime. Let us take care of the dime, you take care of the dollar, and keep coding. Thank you all so very much for having me here. It was a great experience. I love it. Be sure to share any key takeaways that you like from this presentation on social media. You'll have that opportunity to win some great swag. If you didn't like the presentation, my name is John Robinson. Find me on social media. Thanks a lot, guys.
All right, lovely. Thank you so much, Josh, for your lovely energy as our speaker. All right, we shall now move on to, you've guessed it, a quiz. But it's not a quiz regarding Josh's session, but rather a quiz regarding Codeless for the end of day one. So I will now like to invite Quizmaster Manish to kickstart our end of day one quiz. Manish, do take it away.
Thank you, Daniel. Thank you, Daniel. And thanks, Josh, for the lovely presentation and your time. Okay. So allow me to share my screen, and then we will have something. Okay, guys. So I'm ready with my screen. You can see the leaderboard. So let's see if it's gonna be same or it's gonna be changed. Okay. So guys, are you ready for the final quiz of this day? So let me start it. Here you go.
I am ready.
So let's see what is the response. 50-50. Okay. So it's true. Next question. I guess this was easy. Still, we got a mixed response. Let's see. Object identification. So guys, are you ready for the final question for this day? Here you go. Again, we have a mixed response. So this is a deciding question, and 45% people say correct. So Daniel, are you ready?
Ready.
Okay. So I guess everyone is ready now. So let's see the final winner of the day. Here you go. Congratulations, guys. So Daniel.
Yes, as we can see, congratulations to our top 5 that we can
Top
see on
5.
the leaderboard.
Yeah. So now the housekeeping is here. You guys need to take a screen print, and then we will share the email ID in chat so that they can send the screen print along with their complete name.
That is right. So all of you have heard that correctly. For all of you, the 5 of you that are on this leaderboard, be sure to put it in the chat box, your email address and your full name, so that we can issue, your rewards for you for this quiz.
Correct. So again, congratulations to everyone. And over to you, Daniel, for the closing remarks.
All right, you got it. So everyone, as you can see in the chat, we have one person, Mrunal, for doing it. Thank you so much, Mrunal. Even though you're third place, you're the first person to type it in the chat box, so that's amazing. For the other 4 of you, please do follow in Mrunal-san's example, and do put in your email and full name in the chat. It says, thank you, Amir, for following suit. Very good. So everyone else, please do so in the chat box. All right. And I will now move on to the closing remarks for our conference. But before we do that, first things first, all of you, thank you all so much for being here. And we want to commemorate this moment. So let's take just 1 minute for all of you to turn on your cameras and let us take a group photo together, so that the group photo can be posted on social media and show everyone else that you are here learning and upskilling in this conference. All right, so turn on your cameras and let's get ready for a group photo, everyone. All right, Manish, you can stop sharing screen, and we will now let everyone be part of the group photo. All right. All right, so for every one of you, we hope all of you can turn on your cameras. All right, no worries. It's okay. So now we know that audience members cannot turn on camera. That is no issue. All right. Stop. Well, not to worry, everyone, because there is still the selfie contest. And as all of you who are here watching this conference, as you all know, this is our first time doing Zoom events, not Zoom meetings, not Zoom webinars, but Zoom events. All right. So for all of you who are aware that this is our first time trying out Zoom events, thank you all so much for your patience and understanding and being here with us as we test Zoom events together with all of you for the first time. If only there was an app like Provar that could allow us to test these things without having to go through what we just did just now, but that's okay. Now let me move on to the closing remarks of our session. All right, so can all of you type in the chat box if you can see my screen? All right, thank you for typing in the chat box. Really appreciate it. All right, everyone, we have now come to the very end of day 1, and congratulations again to all the quiz winners. Now, some updates regarding day 2. Now, everyone, day 2 will be held again on Zoom events, but on the same link as the one that you're in right now. So the link that you clicked on to get on today's Zoom events conference day 1 will be the same one that you'll be using for tomorrow's day 2, all right? So be sure you remember where this link is so that you can click it for the second time tomorrow, all right? At tomorrow morning, all right? So I hope all of you are excited for tomorrow because we have such exciting topics that will be covered tomorrow. For example, we have challenges in codeless UI automation and how to solve them, presented by Jonas. We also have trend of scriptless automation by Prachi. We have all these wonderful presentations and we can't wait for all of you to experience them all tomorrow. We have these 2 topics and many, many more that we'll be covering tomorrow in day 2. Not to mention, we also have our panel discussion that will be happening tomorrow. And our panel discussion is going to be talking about the topic, is codeless automation the next wave, which will be hosted by none other than our quiz master, Manish himself. All right, so be sure to stay tuned for that tomorrow. And again, day 2 link is the same link that you used to attend today. So be sure to click on that tomorrow. All right. Now, we also would love to hear from all of you. So if you want to follow us, again, these are our social media channels. And not to forget to participate in the quiz contest, selfie contest, key takeaways contest, and the active participant contest. Be sure to do all that so that you can win your swag rewards, because we have a lot of rewards that we can give out to all of you winners. All right. So we can't wait to choose our winners after the conference. And for you to do that, you need to tag us at QA Talks community, and be sure to put hashtag Codeless Conference 2022, and don't forget to post on LinkedIn and Twitter. These are the two platforms that we'll be using to look for our winners. So again, you can follow all social media platforms, but LinkedIn and Twitter are the ones that will make you eligible for the contests. And the most important one is our Discord channel. If you had questions that were unanswered during the Q&A session, don't worry, as we have our Discord channel waiting for you, where you can come in and you can see your questions get answered post-conference. So do not fret. All you have to do is just scan this QR code, or if you've been watching in the other sessions, I've posted the Discord link for you as well. Be sure to join so that you can watch not just your questions, but the other participants' questions as well getting answered post-conference. All right, everyone. And that concludes day one of Codeless Conference 2022 by QA Talks community. We can't wait to see you all tomorrow. All right. Thank you, everyone, and have a good night. Have a good rest. See you all tomorrow for day two. Thank you, everyone.